I'm the Executive Director of Muhimbili National Hospital. So I'm here with our visitor from Kenya, and trust me, she's not a patient. And we are going to talk a little bit of a disease called hemophilia. So welcome to Tanzania.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Can you introduce yourself to my audience?
My name is Sylvia Kathurima. I sit on the board of Kenya Haemophilia Association as a parent representative. I'm a mother to a young gentleman who recently turned 20 years of age, hemophilia A, severe.
So it's not you who is sick with hemophilia,
No.
It's your son.
Yes.
And he's 20 now.
He just
Madam
turned
Sylvia.
20, yes.
Before I ask you to tell us your story, so you have a society in Kenya?
Yes.
And it's called Kenya
Haemophilia
Society
yes.
Association. Who are the members?
For KHA, it's actually a three-prong approach, because initially when it was formed in the 70s, it was primarily a clinician-driven association. So in 2016, we came up with this hybrid version where we actually incorporated parents, patients, and clinicians. So even that representation is across the board, even in our board representation, and that's how I'm a parent representative. We have the executive board, and then we have the board. So I have the privilege of sitting on both.
Both boards.
Yes.
Yeah, but what is hemophilia?
Hemophilia is
what kind of disease is
it's
this?
a blood clotting disorder. So for my son, there are various factors that help your blood clot. For my son, he's low in factor 8.
Okay, tell us your story. How did you know your son has got hemophilia? When? At what age? And what were the symptoms and signs?
Okay, my son was actually not born in Kenya. He was born in the UK, because we used to live in the UK. Then one day when he was taking his usual afternoon nap, he started crying and crying, and then...
At what age was that?
At 8 or 9 months.
Okay.
He started crying and crying and crying, and he could not stop. For whatever I tried to do to pacify him, he could not stop. Then he started nose bleeding, and blood started coming out of his mouth. So I panicked because his dad was at work, and at that time I remember there was also another case of another couple in a different part of the UK where they were being prosecuted because their child had died from SIDS. And they were trying to prove that the parents were not negligent. It was actually SIDS. So that had been going on for a while, and the thing that came to my mind is like, oh my God, this has happened to my child, and now I'm going to be the next person on national news. So I called the paramedics, who were taken to hospital. The father came and joined us at the hospital. Then at the hospital, after they checked him out and everything was okay, he calmed down, and just like nothing had ever happened, everything stopped. So the pediatrician asked us if we have a bleeding disorder in my family. And I remember at that point I was like, excuse me, what's that? So she took some background information about myself and my mother and my grandmother and my mom's brother and my mom's uncles, but then there were no lines being drawn on anything. Then she now went to the father, asked a couple of questions, and then they said they're going to run some tests, whichever way, to rule out a bleeding disorder. So at that time, we were supposed to have been coming home for a family wedding. So we came back home, and when we came back home, we totally forgot about those results that we had done, the samples, because they had told us it will take a while to get them. Then when we came back home, unfortunately, one afternoon when he was having his nap, he just started crying hysterically. Again? Yes, but this time now it was the arm.
And at what age again?
This was now 9 months and 1 week.
So almost a month later?
Yes.
Okay.
So his arm, what I noticed was his arm was very painful and sore, the left arm. And when you tried to straighten it, he was in a lot of pain. So we took him to Aga Khan in Nairobi. We registered with a pediatrician who my cousin recommended. And then the pediatrician was very categorical that the child must have a bleeding disorder. So the term we had had in the UK now became something that we had in Kenya. So the pediatrician walked us through the journey of what it could be. But he was very categorical. If it was factor 9 or factor 10, at that point as a country, we didn't have capacity to be able to manage it.
Okay, so there was no medicine in
for
Kenya?
factor 9 or factor 10. What we are getting is factor 8.
Factor 8,
yes.
Okay.
And so we did the sample. It had to go to South Africa. And then we had to wait, I think, 16 or so days to get the results. So the results came back and were told that he has hemophilia A. So we said, okay, so what does that...
So there are two types of hemophilia.
Yes.
A and B. What's the difference between the two?
One is clotting factor 8 for A.
Yeah.
And one is clotting factor 9 for B.
Yeah.
Then now, after we did the discussion with the pediatrician, he explained to us what that journey entailed. And for me, it sounded a lot. And my husband used to travel even quite a bit when we were in the UK. So it seemed very daunting for me to be, yes, I'd have gotten my child very good health care. But I was also able to extend the same cover we had from the UK now to Kenya. And we used to get our factor supply. And my son was on prophylaxis up until age 8.
Okay.
Yeah, so he had...
From the insurance?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the insurance now changed and restructured and did how they cover
How much are these products in Kenya if I have to pay out of pocket?
If you have to pay out of pocket, currently for one 500 IU vial, it's about $350.
$350?
Yes.
So...
And currently for my son, when he has a major bleed, we use about 3,000 IU. So the money will add up for sure.
Sure.
And we need to now do it for maybe
millions.
Yes, we need to do it for maybe 2 or 3 days consecutively.
It's about 250 million Tanzanian shillings a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for us, we're fortunate that we were able to have the cover. And then after that, now that's when I came across Haemophilia Association, because prior to that, I'd not met another parent who had a child who had hemophilia. My pediatrician had tried hooking me up with another parent, but then they had relocated also. So those were the only 2 people I knew for the longest time until I came to KHA. So KHA gets the treatment factors donated by the World Federation of Haemophilia. Then through the National Hospital, Kenyatta National Hospital, they receive on behalf of the whole country, and then now they distribute to various centers.
But from the age of 8 till now 20,
yes,
anything has happened in between?
It's been a long journey because
this is what we want to hear from.
Now when you're relying on treatment that the factor is being donated, you can't exactly be on prophylaxis. From 8 to about 10, we were on prophylaxis because we had enough factor. And I guess then our patient population was a lot smaller. So what we were getting from donations was sufficient to do the prophylaxis. But then now when we started getting like a really bad case of tonsillitis and you need hospitalization, you also need factor. So it kind of eats up onto what you've gotten for your prophylaxis. Then you find he used to get a lot of spontaneous joint bleeds. So when target joints start acting up, you also eat up on what would have been now your supply maybe for month 2 or 3 or 4. And at that time, we're not getting as much factor supply. There are times when he's had to be admitted to receive fresh frozen plasma or cryoprecipitate. So I have to now rally people round to come and do like blood donations.
Okay.
So there are times when I've actually had to physically take my title deed and leave it in the hospital and say, this is how much I have, this is how much I owe you, I'll pay it back within the next 2 weeks, treat my child. So it's been a journey and some. I remember when my son was 3 years of age, because he kept getting all these bleeds in his joints and his elbows never, just like James, they don't fully stretch out completely, but they're a lot better than James's. Somebody suggested that we go to a certain orthopedic surgeon in Nairobi. He's very highly acclaimed, but then when I went to see him, my son had just turned 3, and he told me that given my son's condition, he'll not live to 8. So every birthday that came thereafter, I was always holding my breath thinking that this is
The last
but
one.
my hematologist kept asking me, why are you believing him? Why do you think that he's God? Why do you think that he's the one who holds the power over your child?
Okay.
So for us, we've had a lot of touch and go moments. We've had issues where he's had fluid buildup in his ankles. We've had to drain it because other methods have not worked. We've had issues where he's actually been playing with his friends. He slips and falls, fractures his ankle. We've had issues where he's running or maybe slips and hurts his knee. So we've had a lot of issues where we've actually needed to go in and out of surgery. But I'm thankful that I actually was able to find KHA. I'm thankful that they've actually walked the journey with me. They've become more family than anything else. I'm even more thankful that we've been able to reach more people who are able and needing of this access to care. Because I always keep asking myself, I come from a pretty privileged background, so to speak, in terms of the fact that I had the education, I had the capacity to be able to find the resources. As much as sometimes I found the medication price limiting, I was still able to find a solution. A lot of our population and a lot of our patients are extremely, extremely poor. And being a genetic condition and one that the mother is the carrier, the biggest challenge I'm realizing, especially when I get more involved into the association, is when the father comes and seeks solutions and hears it's the mother. He says, these are your problems, I'm off. So
you're a carrier?
Yeah, for me, I'm a carrier.
Okay, and who had in your family?
For us, it seems that Jesus was walking around and decided this is what I needed in my life. Because we've really tried tracing back and nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're the only.
Yes.
Okay. Now my last question. Why are you in Tanzania?
Why am I in Tanzania? Well, we've had this great project that we started actually in 2020 in Voi, Taita Taveta in Kenya with the Novo Nordisk Haemophilia Foundation. It started off as a concept in 2019. 2020, we saw it start to come to life. And we've had this collaboration between Kenya and Tanzania. The purpose of the partnership was for Tanzania to leverage on Kenya's strengths in hemophilia and us to leverage on your strengths in sickle cell. Because in sickle cell, you've gone leaps and bounds further than we have gone.
We are learning from Kenya hemophilia, and your side, you're learning from us with sickle cell. And that's why since I came to Muhimbili National Hospital, I have a lot of interest with hemophilia. To see that our clinics are running well. We have a clinic here, we have a clinic in Morogoro, and soon we are going to open in Kigoma. We have a clinic in Zanzibar and one in Mbeya, Mbeya, Dodoma. So we are grateful to the collaboration which our two institutions, our two countries is doing on hemophilia. And good luck. I believe your son will continue to be well and one day get married.
We pray so. But for now, I'm thankful that he's actually doing very well. He's very strong. He's about to embark on a journey to electronic engineering.
Oh, very good.
So I also wish him well as he starts on that. But thank you for having us.
No, thank you, Sylvia. And I hope we'll see you later.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Mama wa mtoto wa miaka 20 kama mlivyosikia, iligundulika wakati ana miezi 8, wakati mtoto alianza kulia tu. Na baada hapo safari imekuwa ndefu kidogo, na kama alivyosema mlivyomsikia, yeye ana bahati kwa sababu kidogo family ilikuwa na uwezo, lakini najaribu kufikiria kwa nani. Kwa hiyo wako hapa kuendeleza mashirikiano yetu, na sisi kama nilivyosema tuna clinic hapa Muhimbili na zingine ambazo tumeanza kufungua mikoani. Matibabu yake mmesikia bei ni kubwa sana hizi dawa, na tunaendelea kushirikiana na wenzetu wa Novo Nordisk kuweza kupata kwa msaada, kuweza kuwasaidia wagonjwa wetu. Tunao wagonjwa hapa kwetu na wanapata hizo dawa. Thank you so much, Sylvia.